I live right above a subway line. Every 20 minutes, the floorboards vibrate and the walls hum. Between the thin drywall and the neighbors who never sleep, my apartment became a cage of constant, agonizing noise. After months without a full night of sleep, my brain felt like it was wrapped in sandpaper. Severe exhaustion eventually narrows your world down to a single, desperate goal: finding a way to make it stop. I spent half my paycheck on the best active noise-canceling headphones on the market. The box claimed military-grade isolation. I didn't care about the music, I just wanted the silence. I slipped them over my ears, and the physical seal alone deadened the room. Then I flipped the power switch. A tiny synthetic voice whispered, "Power on," and the world simply vanished. The subway rumble, the rain on the glass, everything was unplugged. I became addicted to that absolute, suffocating silence. I wore them to work, and I wore them to sleep, retreating further into a sanctuary where I was completely isolated from every external cue. At 2 a.m. last night, a massive thunderstorm was raging outside. Lightning flashed across the bedroom walls, but inside the headphones, I couldn't hear a single drop of rain. This isolation is maintained by tiny external microphones built into the ear cups. They act as the system's ears, constantly monitoring the environment for any incoming sound. This diagram shows the profile of that environmental noise. As these irregular waves hit the microphones, an internal processor analyzes their specific frequency and amplitude in real time. To kill the noise, the hardware generates an exact inverted sound wave. When this anti-wave meets the incoming sound, they collide and cancel each other out, leaving only a flat, silent line. This is an active artificial state. The hardware is performing millions of calculations every second to weaponize sound against itself, creating a fragile bubble of quiet. I was typing an email, feeling only the physical click of the keys under my fingertips. The apartment was a total audio void, until the isolation broke. A microscopic crackle of static popped in the left ear cup. It was a tiny, jarring glitch, like a radio momentarily losing its signal. I stopped typing. I told myself it was just the storm interfering with the circuitry, or perhaps a low battery warning. I waited 10 seconds, staring at the screen, and tried to go back to work. Then a new sound emerged, a heavy, wet, squelching noise. It sounded like a muddy boot stepping onto a linoleum floor. It happened again. 2 seconds of silence, then a rhythmic, deliberate squelch. These were footsteps, and they were heavy. The noise-canceling filters were still working perfectly on the storm outside, but the microphones were picking up something else. They were capturing the sound of someone, or something, walking down my hallway and feeding it directly into my ears. I couldn't take the headphones off. If I did, the roar of the rain would drown out the footsteps, and I'd lose track of where it was. I was a prisoner to my own high-definition audio feed. The footsteps crossed into the bedroom. The wet squelch of the hallway transitioned into a muffled, damp thump as the weight moved onto the carpet. Thump, thump. It walked slowly across the floor, coming to a halt exactly 2 feet behind my desk chair. The audio track went dead again. I sat in absolute, suffocating silence, waiting for a touch that didn't come. I squeezed my eyes shut, paralyzed by the vacuum in my ears. Noise-canceling systems are designed to adapt. While they struggle with sudden pops, they are incredibly efficient at mapping constant, repeating frequencies and erasing them from the feed. The microphones on the ear cups were analyzing the new ambient environment directly behind my head, identifying a steady, rhythmic pattern. The processor identified the heavy, ragged breathing coming from the dark. It mapped the frequency, generated the anti-wave, and successfully deleted the presence of the entity from my hearing. The headphones provided exactly what I asked for: total, perfect silence. I sat there in the lie of the void, right up until the battery died. "Power off," the voice whispered, and the roar of the storm was instantly drowned out by a guttural, wet scream from right behind my ear.